Are you on the side of abolition or on the side of pro-life?
Do you think that part of that willing to do it could be countered by ignorance towards the issue?
Should the law not still be just and reflect absolute right and wrong to put those 1% of people to the punishment that they deserve? Yeah, you sound like you're really, really close, but the incremental thing you're off on, right? Yes, we do.
Okay, cool.
We're actually here to talk to her.
Awesome.
Yeah, so.
Please do.
So I don't know if you're familiar. Are you familiar with abolition? Have you heard of that before? Yeah. Are you on the side of abolition or on the side of pro-life? What do you think?
So, okay.
Do you know the differences?
I do think that incremental change is good, which I know you guys don't.
Right.
But I also see where you're coming from.
You're very familiar.
Yeah, I'm very familiar with you guys.
Okay.
Yes. I do 100% agree that abortion is murder. And
right.
It is the intentional killing of a human being. That is never okay.
Right.
No matter the circumstance.
Sure.
But I do think that incremental change can lessen abortion, especially in a fight to change culture. Even though I would love for a complete abolition of abortion.
Have you?
That's the reason I'm not voting for Trump, because
oh really?
I'm still figuring out. I'll probably make that decision more on election day, but because he supports incremental change, it actually just is kind of at least I'm not Kamala Harris.
Well, he's actually gotten worse. I don't know if you're aware of his IVF policy.
Yes, I am.
It's horrible.
It is very bad.
And until Kamala, which I don't know if she has, she might have in the debate last night, I don't know, but until she comes out in support of that same policy, I think Trump is actually going to have more blood on his hands than her.
Yeah, which is the reason that I definitely think that we can't bow our knees to politicians that are like, oh, well, I'll get the pro-life vote because I'm just not the Democrats.
Yeah.
But I think something like a heartbeat law is much better than nothing. Hi, Izzy.
How are you?
I'm very good.
Did she say your name was Olivia?
Yeah.
That's hilarious. My name's Elijah.
Elijah?
I was just talking to a girl 2 seconds ago whose name was Olivia.
Does she have long brown hair?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're co-presidents.
Okay.
We're student for life.
All right. So there you go.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, so what if, okay, this is a hypothetical, 'cause I wish I had it on me because I didn't know how many pro-lifers I was going to engage with, but what if I could show you pragmatically that taking those incremental steps actually leads to an increase in abortion, not a decrease in abortion, because you're teaching the culture, you're teaching women to just get them earlier.
Yeah. I can be very easily swayed by that.
Okay.
I also I have this graphic. Do you follow Pro-Life Spider-Man?
I don't, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, he made a post
so
that pretty much reflects exactly what you're saying.
Okay. Well,
hold on.
Okay.
Go ahead and talk.
No. So I just wanted to kind of, continue to ask you questions about this. Are you aware of what happened in Louisiana with the abolition bill that was stopped there?
Maybe.
Okay. So there was a bill of abolition. It came out like our kind of bill. Mm-hmm. We would support it 100%. Came out of committee and everybody was on board, right? Everybody was really excited. Mm-hmm. Louisiana is redder than your blood. And they were like, we're going to be the first state to completely get rid of this. And then 70 pro-life organizations signed a letter that said that they do not support this bill. They actually oppose it on the basis that they never want to see, they never support any legislation that would punish a mother at all for getting an abortion. Mm. So literally in that state, the pro-choicers didn't have to lift a finger. The pro-lifers opposed our bill and stopped it entirely of themselves.
What did it say in it about prosecuting mothers that get abortions?
It said that a unborn child would be treated the exact same as a born child.
Okay.
So everything would apply. Now, what that means and what a lot of people are confused on about that is that it'd be treated the same way. So it's not like a woman gets an abortion and then she's sent to the execution chair. It's a woman gets an abortion and then she's taken to court, and then the court system then decides, okay, am I going to give mercy here? Was she willfully doing this? Because willful is a really important part of murder, right? So it goes through the court systems.
Do you think that like part of that like willing to do it could be countered by an ignorance towards the issue? Because I feel like because our abortion culture has really perpetuated these lies that like a human being in the womb is a clump of cells, and then women are like, they're like, oh, I get an abortion just because I don't know any, like, or I don't, because I was just told it's a clump of cells, I was lied to by Planned Parenthood, something like that, then those women would be acquitted, or they would have a lesser
I'm guessing that they would have a lesser punishment.
Yeah.
That's what I'm guessing. Just because even today, even with murder and with different things, there's gradations in the law itself. There's first, second, third, manslaughter, right? So there's gradations there, but then there's also judges who offer mercy, right? And the key point there is that you cannot have mercy without justice. So in order for, like, if you commit a crime, in order for me to offer you mercy as a, I would have to be a judge, and I would have to decide on a lesser punishment.
Because I think that's one of the major concerns with something like that is, like, I've done sidewalk advocacy at the Planned Parenthood Cincinnati. I don't know if you've been there.
I've in Columbus.
And we see a lot of sorrow going into abortion facilities. There are women that do choose abortion because they know it's killing and they're fine with that.
Right.
But I'd say that's a pretty low percentage of women that do choose abortion. They do it because it's socially normal and people don't think enough about what is morally good versus what's socially normal.
So let's take that argument and let's just take it to the extreme.
Okay.
Let's say that 99% of women don't know what they're doing, okay? Let's just... I think that's absolutely absurd, by the way. Like, I think that's absurd. Do you think that's absurd that 99% don't know what they're doing?
Yes.
Okay. So, but let's just imagine that for a second, and that 1% do. Should the law not still be just and reflect absolute right and wrong to put those 1% of people to the punishment that they deserve?
Yeah.
Even if, do you see what I'm saying? So, like, I've heard the argument from many pro-lifers about that, but I don't think that argument gives a logical reason as to why it then follows that we should not criminalize the act.
Yeah. Yeah, because...
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, it does definitely take away from the conviction that abortion kills a human being.
Yeah.
Which is one of the most consistent things that I've encountered on campus is people respect consistency. Even if they entirely disagree with you, when you're like I've had an argument with somebody before where he's like questioning me on these things and we have a long talk and then he's like, what about rape and incest? Do you think that rape and incest people should be able to get abortions? And I said, no. And he said that was when he really started to respect me because I was consistent.
Yeah.
And he was like, I thought I was going to get you and be able to be like, oh, your argument's terrible, because a lot of pro-lifers do say, well, there's an exception for rape and incest.
Yeah. Oh,
but
tons.
the consistency is where people are like, oh, like, yeah, you guys actually have a point.
Yeah.
And that is along that line of like, if we want to treat abortion as killing a human being willfully or ignorantly, then there's that human being still needs justice.
Yeah. Yeah, you sound like you're really, really close, but the incremental thing you're off on, right?
Yeah.
So, are you Christian?
Yeah.
Okay. So, Isaiah 10, are you familiar with it?
Maybe. I don't know the actual verse.
That's fine. That's fine. You've probably read it, right?
Verse.
So, Isaiah 10 says, "Woe to those who write unjust laws." And then it goes on to, it says, to rob the widow of their due and to make the fatherless prey, which obviously who's more fatherless than the child in the womb, right? So, but the part that's really important there is woe to those who write unjust laws. So while I would, and I already have kind of propose the hypothetical of, I think that incremental bills actually hurt. They don't help pragmatically. But I would also go a step further and say that I think that they're just wrong.
Yeah.
And because of Isaiah 10.
Because it's not serving justice to people who...
To allow people to die.
Yeah.
Because the law, the way the law is written, it'd be one thing if all the law said was children with a heartbeat must live and they have to be protected, and the woman who kills her child there ought to be criminalized, and anyone involved ought to be criminalized. But that's not what they say. They have to be specific, and because of that, they're allowing for the death of children without heartbeats. And then I'm sure you've seen, a lot of the pro-life messaging, like abortion stops a beating heart, right? Mm-hmm. Have you seen that? Mm-hmm. It was crazy. There's a billboard in my hometown over on the west side of Ohio, and that's what it said on it. And then a tornado came through and it like crumpled. But anyways, that's besides the point. So I would say that laws like heartbeat bills and signs like that and messaging like that actually does more harm than good. Because I have pro-lifers come up to me all the time and they're like, oh, life begins at the heartbeat. And I'm like, no, it doesn't.
Yeah, I've gotten that. Like, I got that this past week I was at the College Republicans event, and that's what somebody tried to, they're like, life starts at a heartbeat. I'm like, no, that's not true. So I think that is a very common sentiment.
Do you think that messaging and the laws teach people that life begins at the heartbeat?
No, definitely not.
You don't think the laws teach people that?
Well, so you don't have a stance. Yes, I agree with what you're saying. Our laws are not consistent with what is true.
Yeah.
And that is, like, it does teach that life begins at a heartbeat.
Yeah. That's one thing that the Bible...
But what I was trying to say is, like, our laws do not teach what is true through, like, heartbeat bills, things like that. Because it's like... That would be a kind of like third argument I would make against those things, is that they are teaching the culture. And the Bible even says, it's talking about the law of God, but it says the law of God is a teacher. Mm-hmm. Okay? It says the law is a teacher. And so I think that still applies to our law today, is that our law is still teaching people things, right? If you want to teach a thief not to steal from a bank, you say stealing from a bank is wrong and you're going to get punished for that. Yeah, culture down flows from law.
Yeah.
It's like a cycle. But I totally...
so where's the disconnect then on the incremental position? Because to me, it sounds like you're saying, okay, I see your point. I
think I'm slowly going more towards... I just don't think that's something I think about that much.
Okay.
I think when it doesn't really change. I have a big problem with pro-life culture in terms of how we kick ourselves in the foot.
Yeah.
Or like we step, whatever that saying is.
Step on our
Yeah, I just combined two idiots.
Whatever. Yeah, you're fine.
So it doesn't really make sense. That messaging, like the messaging thing. I think that pro-life messaging is like, I don't know. I really, really like Mason Deschampagne, pro-life Spider-Man. I think that he does a really great job of talking about how there is not enough righteous anger about this issue, and that causes every demographic that could identify with pro-life from acting on it. And I've dealt with that. I interned with the Right to Life organization over the summer, and we deal with that with just people not doing what they should feel called to do, which is end injustice. And this is an obvious injustice, especially for Christian, especially if you believe that all human beings should be treated equal. And there isn't but it's acting like we're stuck in like the 1980s, where when we don't know as much, and we're making those billboards and like abortion stops a beating heart, when it's like you're not pissed off about this like
Yeah.
you should be.
Right.
And I think that you guys are a testament to a righteous anger that actually pushes for something that's consistent.
Yeah.
And
So
something that's like a reason that I'm like, so many pro-lifers are like, Trump's the pro-life vote, when it's like, no, Trump does not deserve the pro-life vote, because this crap keeps happening.
it's horrible.
Because we have Republican politicians that are just trying to win votes, and they're like, we'll get the pro-lifers as long as we support something.
Did
that
you
isn't Kamala Harris.
did you see Trump change his mind on issue 4 in Florida? Did you see that?
I don't know about the mind change. I saw something about him saying he's going to vote no.
So it was crazy. So there's a couple of things that happened, and I'll try to get the order right.
Mm-hmm.
But he tweeted, "We're going to be great for reproductive rights."
I saw that.
And then he came out with the IVF plan, which is horrible, right? Absolutely heinous. And it's socialist too. I mean, even beyond the deaths, it's going to cost taxpayers tons of money, which is absurd. So then he did that, and then he came out, he was interviewed, and he said that the issue 4, if it enshrined abortion into the state constitution of Florida, it would supersede the current. I think they have a 6-week ban.
6-week ban in Florida.
So he said that was too extreme. So the reporter asked him, "Are you going to vote, yes or no on the issue?" He didn't exactly respond. He said he thinks that's too extreme. And then the reporter pushed him again, and he said, "I think that's too extreme." And then over the next 2 days or 1 day, there was a massive outburst on Twitter, kind of similar to what you're telling me, where it's like, we're not going to give you our vote unless you need to change your mind on this issue. And then literally right after that, he said he was going to vote no on it. It was...
Yeah, the pressure.
Yeah, so my position on that Trump stuff is kind of the same thing as yours. It's kind of the same thing as yours, where it's like, we can't accept this. We can't accept this at all. And then the other thing I'll just tell you is, as someone who's been in this fight for a while now, I was going to the clinic for about 3 years, and then I started this whole thing, engaging people on campuses about a year ago, roughly. A little less than that. But anyways, I would just tell you, in every single state where an abolition bill has been brought, our biggest opponents has not been... Yes.
Yeah.
In Ohio, it was the Center for Christian Virtue. They lobbied the representative that we had on board against bringing that bill. That is so backwards.
Yeah.
That is so backwards. And so, it's one thing. There's organizations that are like, I don't agree with them, but they're like, we're for the complete abolition of abortion, where they would support our bills of abolition, but they're okay with incremental legislation. I think that's compromise. I think it doesn't help. I don't think it helps.
I'll show you this post.
Yeah, go for it.
You
got it, yeah.
This is something that was posted by Kristen Hawkins. Number of babies who will
horrible.
die if Kamala is president. Number of babies who will die if Trump is president. The number of babies that will die in perpetuality because of the privileged established political illiteracy, lack of courage, willingness to make real sacrifices, and fear of standing up against the status quo. And I thought he hit the nail on the head with that one.
But that is actually a terrible misrepresentation by her. That's actually terrible.
This was Mason's edition.
So
yeah.
Let's go back before IVF. Do you know how much abortion Trump supported at that point?
15 weeks?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know how much percent that makes of?
That's 95.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
your stats.
Yeah.
So that's a terrible post.
Yeah.
And it's actually really bad.
And it is a cultural thing. If you're gonna, we also have to look long term.
Okay.
Not in the next 4 years. It's this is just going to keep happening and happening. And the next Republican's going to keep being like, oh, it's okay because Trump won on it and I want to do all these other things.
Yeah.
Whatever. And it does hurt culturally.
Right.
And it doesn't communicate a message of consistency, which I think is the most damning thing that we can do. Which is always something I try to prioritize as consistency.
Well, keep on trying to prioritize that, because if you do, I think you're going to become an abolitionist.
I kind of think I am. But I have no butt. Yeah, there's no butt.
Any of us should be.
What would you say, like, for? Because I think one of the it's really hard when so many women have abortions. Like 1 in 4, 1 in 3 women have had abortions.
It's crazy.
Among us. And to say, like, I think it's important to make a distinction if you were going to make it prosecutable if a woman gets an abortion, would that be a, what's the word? I don't know the word, but it's like where you can go and prosecute people that have committed the crime before it was made a crime.
So that's actually so the word is retroactive there,
Retroactive,
and
yeah,
that's actually it's a slander against the abolitionist movement that many people spread. So like Charlie Kirk has repeated that nonsense at one point in time, which he should know better, and other people have as well. That's not even how the law works. So, like, you can't put in a law and retroactively punish someone in the U.S. And we don't support that. So, no, we want legislation that goes into effect when it goes in, and that's the only way that our law actually works anyways. So that's interesting that you bring it up, though, because that has been used against us in multiple occasions.
Because I guess retroactiveness more applies to people who have been convicted for crimes that the crime no longer is a crime, like drug crimes, things like that. Like some of those laws are retroactive, where if
like they lighten up and
they
then
lighten up and then they let people go for like marijuana or something.
Sure.
That makes sense.
I don't think we should retroactively punish people. So I
like that.
Yeah.
I gotta go.
You gotta go?
I'll be back.
All right.
So you'll see me
Hey,
again.
it was nice to meet you,
what's your
Olivia.
name?
Elijah.
Elijah,
Yeah.
I'll see you later.
See ya.